This is yet another case involving the senseless murder of a young teenager, committed for reasons that no mature adult can fathom. There have been many further murders of young teenagers since Jermaine's death.
Imagine waking up every day knowing your child won't be coming home. The echoes of laughter replaced by an unbearable silence. This is the reality for Jermaine Cools' family. Because while the streets of London are often painted as bustling and full of life, a single act of brutality can shatter the illusion of city safety we all cling to. In this true crime story, we delve into the shocking circumstances of Jermaine Cools' demise and the troubling questions that persist. We'll examine the evidence and explore the motives that led a young man down such a destructive path. Let's uncover a chilling case where violence and vulnerability intersected, leaving an enduring mark of sorrow.
We've got to stop the crime happening in the first place. That's why prevention and education are so important in terms of tackling this issue. We shouldn't be losing talented young lives to knife crime. This has got to stop, and it's got to stop now.
As a typical 14-year-old in London, Jermaine Cools embodied youthful potential. He had a way of lighting up a room with his crooked smile that made his friends roll their eyes in mock annoyance. He was the only son of Lorraine Dudek and Julius Cools, and by all accounts, just a regular kid caught up in a world perhaps too dangerous. Though he was still figuring out the tricky balance of schoolwork and streetwear brands, Jermaine held a quiet dream of coding his own video game one day, maybe something with superheroes and time travel. Enter Marquess Walker, a teenager whose life was marked by an early descent into violence, culminating in a grotesque event that shocked the community. His identity was intertwined with the gritty realities of street life in London. He embodied the struggles and conflicts faced by many young people in the city. The songs Marquess wrote also reflected his dark inclination for hurting other people, substance abuse, women exploitation, and other subjects along those lines. To nobody's surprise, at just 17 years of age, Walker already found himself entangled with the law, with a history of carrying deadly weapons that predated a much more tragic incident. Walker's involvement in the Shrublands gang and his role as a county lines drug dealer provided a glimpse into the underbelly of London's criminal networks, where loyalty and violence often intersect. The worst of his actions was laid bare during a landmark court case, which our tale will revolve around today. In the bustling streets near West Croydon Station, regarded historically as one of the most dangerous parts of this city, the atmosphere was charged with an unsettling tension on a November night of 2021. Jermaine Cools was out with his friends, walking the street and minding his own business. As to why he was spotted in this part of town, no one was able to tell. Marquess Walker happened to be walking on the same sidewalk on that fateful evening, and as deadly luck would have it, he was carrying with him a concealed weapon that would soon become the instrument of a devastating act. Walker drew a large, almost 20-inch machete from his coat. At that moment, he stepped into a role that would forever alter the course of many lives. The knife found its mark repeatedly, each striking a fatal blow to Jermaine's future. He reportedly stabbed him 7 times in total. The motive? It's still unclear to this day. There's no indication from sources either that Jermaine Cools and Marquess Walker knew each other prior to the tragic incident. The altercation seemed to be a chance, fatal encounter rather than a confrontation between acquaintances. Other theories suggest a gang fight gone wrong, but there was also no evidence of that. The fight broke out outside a chicken shop and escalated so quickly that nobody managed to be in Jermaine's aid. Jermaine's desperate attempts to defend himself were in vain against the onslaught. The once vibrant street became a scene of despair as Jermaine laid there with his injuries, his dreams potentially extinguished in a matter of moments. With 7 stab wounds all in the torso, Jermaine was still conscious. There might still be hope after all. A bystander rushed to his rescue and brought him to the nearest medical center. After several hours, however, Cools succumbed to his injuries, making him the youngest homicide victim in the area at 14 years old. Shockingly, he was the 27th teenager killed in the capital in the year 2021 alone. After the heinous act, Marquess Walker vanished into the urban sprawl, initiating a tense and urgent manhunt.
On a stretch of the London Road near West Croydon Station. It's a really busy street, there's lots of shops and takeaways, lots of life on that street. So that evening, a fight breaks out outside a takeaway shop. The police have described it as a brawl. And Jermaine Cools, 14-year-old boy who lives in the area, enters that brawl. His brother is there with him. And there's CCTV footage which shows this group on the street. And it's chaotic. It's really hard to figure out what's going on.
Countless video footage showed him running sidewalks, surprisingly still with the machete in hand. The breakthrough came nearly 6 weeks after the attack when police, acting on a tip or perhaps guided by fate, arrived at an address in Upper Norwood, there hidden behind a bed in a last-ditch attempt to avoid detection.
Initially, Walker tried to fob them off by giving a false name, but eventually he admitted to his identity.
Walker was found and arrested. This house turned out to be the address of one of his friends. This moment marked the end of Walker's flight from accountability and the beginning of the long process of seeking justice for Jermaine. As mentioned, Walker's trial was a landmark event that brought to light the grim details of that tragic day. Part of the notoriety was because the court sessions were televised, a rare decision aimed at underscoring the grave consequences of knife crime and youth violence in London. It was also partly because the defendant was a 17-year-old criminal. The trial's proceedings, however, made for a lopsided affair. The evidence presented was irrefutable, with CCTV footage playing a crucial role in illustrating the ferocity and senselessness of the attack. In the end, Walker pled guilty, receiving a life sentence with a minimum term of 19 years. As one can expect, Marquess Walker immediately made headlines as the first juvenile in London to ever receive a life sentence. And if you thought this would deter the teenager or tear down his pride, you'd be wrong. While in custody, Walker's behavior did not show signs of remorse. In a distressing revelation, it was found that he had composed rap lyrics that boasted about the slaying, demonstrating a chilling indifference to the gravity of his actions. This act of callousness only compounded the grief and agony of Jermaine's family, portraying a lack of understanding of the irreparable harm he had caused. Furthermore, while behind bars, Walker was involved in another serious offense, assaulting a fellow inmate and leaving him with severe and permanent brain damage. This attack was later confirmed as a revenge act against someone deemed a snitch. Needless to say, the gravity of this contributed to the court's decision to impose a significant sentence, reflecting not only the heinous nature of his crime, but also the ongoing risk he posed to others. While the verdict brought a semblance of justice, it was a hollow victory for those left to mourn the young Jermaine. Jermaine's parents, Julius Cools and Lorraine Dudek, shared their profound grief and the devastating impact of their loss in heart-wrenching testimonies. Lorraine expressed her indescribable pain.
These pictures, this is how I'll always remember Jermaine. I don't know. He just was so mature and just like a fully developed young man, even though he was only 14. I literally saw him turn into an adult overnight, like this, and just be happy.
Today, Julius spends his days riding his sailboat aimlessly to distract himself from the pain. The household understandably canceled Christmas for a number of years now. The only thing I want for Christmas can never happen. That is to have Jermaine back, Julius further stated. Their words powerfully convey the deep emotional toll and enduring trauma, but they also expressed dismay and frustration on how the legal system managed Walker's case. Their disappointment was with the perceived inadequacies in preventing such tragedies. Because despite Walker's history of carrying deadly weapons and his involvement in gang activities, he was on bail at the time he committed the slaying. This fact alone intensified the parents' grievances, as they wondered if earlier interventions might have prevented their son's death. This case, beyond its legal resolutions, served as a grim reminder of the devastating ripple effects of youth violence, leaving a family in perpetual mourning and a community grappling with the fear and uncertainty such heinous acts breed. Thank you for watching. Drop your thoughts on this chilling story in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more daily true crime stories.